welcome to Gulfstream Park. It is March 26th, 2015. Christina Bosnack is joined by Ron Nicoletti. And another warm day here, Ron, in southern Florida. A little bit humid, although there's a little breeze kicking up.
We've got a nice breeze up here right now, so that's a good point. We got a fast lane track today, firm turf. Guess what? Got a Rainbow Six carryover. Starts a race number 5. It's up there again, $142,000 plus, and that is in race number 5 with the 10-race card. So that always adds to the excitement here. But this week doesn't need much adding of excitement here because it's Bessaloo Florida Derby week.
It is, and that is going to be on Saturday. 9 stakes, 7 graded stakes, over $2.3 million in purses, and we've got some of the best horses, or a lot of the best horses, running right now in the country. So that's this Saturday.
Nice card. We drew the card already. Nice card.
Very nice card. 14 races, and run the post times early.
Yeah, 12 p.m. post time, and don't forget, if you like the races from Dubai, Silk Simulcast Center will be opened up at 8 a.m., and those races run from about 9 o'clock till about noon. So those races, of course, in Dubai, and got a lot of horses that we've seen run right down here, racing in Dubai, Main Sequence to be one of them. So, and of course, Lee, and from the West Coast, California Chrome. So lots of great horses. Just adds to the excitement. So you could be here on Saturday from 8 in the morning, and you could hang out with Christina and I until 9 o'clock at night when we get done. So it should be a lot of fun all day. And you know, and tomorrow we got a little interesting stake tomorrow, don't we?
Yeah, before we get into such a big weekend and such a big day on Saturday, tomorrow, as Ron said, the second race on the card, the Tamarack. It is an overnight stake, and oh, look who showed up. There's a Grade 1 winner in there, and that is Competitive Edge. He won the Hopeful in 2014 for Todd Pletcher. That was at Saratoga. That was quite a while ago. However, he's making his comeback and was one of the top 2-year-olds last year. But Ron, a horse that I'm also really excited to see. I saw him at Monmouth Park over the summer, and that is a Mr. Jordan, very well known here in southern Florida from the Eddie Pliza barn. And let's take a look at his latest stakes victory. That was in your stomping grounds, Gulfstream Park West. I actually happened to be here that day. I arrived maybe just a couple of days before. Ron, how impressive was this?
This is good. This was the smooth air, and it was a 2-turn mile there, and he was just cruising under the wire. And, you know, Mr. Jordan, I remember in the summertime, we very rarely get a call from people, and it wasn't you, but people called us from Monmouth Park and said, this horse just ran, you got to watch this horse, and boy, they were right. Now, they thought this horse was going to be off a little longer than he was, but he had a little bit of an injury. Wasn't as bad as they thought, and here he comes, and he shows up in the entry, and he was a little bit of surprise to everybody. I mean, we love it. So Competitive Edge, Mr. Jordan, just a second race on Friday afternoon. 6 horses in the race. I mean, you got to be here to watch this race because Competitive Edge won the Hopeful by like 6 lengths. What an impressive performance that was. Yeah, and he defeated a very impressive horse named I Spent It, and he was well back in second. However, Mr. Jordan, as we said, the fact that Eddie Pliza is bringing him back sooner, he's so conservative in terms of especially giving horses plenty of time to come back. So you know, the horse is back, he's ready to run. Oh, you look at his work tab, he's definitely ready to run. So it's going to be a great race, and we'll see how that plays out.
Well, we're going to take a look at today's 10-race card, and Ron, we kick off with a 16,000 claiming event, a mile and 16th on the turf course. We do have a scratch, number 1, and the also eligibles 10 through 13. At my top pick, I went with the number 5, and that is When We Act. A couple of numbers. He ran some good numbers in, or she ran, excuse me, a couple of good numbers in her 2 latest starts. 2 back, she was claimed from Kathy Mungin, now in the barn of Ignacio Correas. But I think 2 very useful performances coming into this race, but I know that you went in another direction.
Yeah, you know, When We Act, 3 for 6 in the money at the distance, but all of those were third-place finishes. So I went with the number 9, Shiloh, stretching out today to a mile and a 16th. He rallied last time out to come within the neck of feeding the same level of competition, going 7.5 furlongs. Jenna Antonucci, Edgar Zayas in the saddle. When We Act, for all the reasons you mentioned, got the numbers, got Johnny V, and I used the number 6, Sky, blue and black in third. 5 for 5 in the money at this distance. 5 races, 3 wins and 2 seconds, stretches out. He broke slowly in that last race, and he finished behind Shiloh. And when we act, I think he can rebound at his, looks like what his preferred distance, albeit no wins at that distance.
I think there's several horses in this race, actually, that they seem to have the propensity to finish in the money and not really get the job done. So that's why maybe we can take a couple of shots early on in the card, kicking off the day with the first race. We head on to the second race on the card, 50,000 maiden claiming event. It is a mile on the turf course, and we do have a scratch, number 2, and that is Kitten's Warrior. And Ron, this kicks off the early pick 4. We're in agreement here with number 3, and that is Duval Street. And we'll just take a look at that latest effort that was back on March 12th. And Ron, this was a pretty good performance. Closed pretty well, or fairly well. Is dropping this time, and I think that was a very good performance for his first start on the turf. And of course his pedigree would suggest he should be able to handle.
Yeah, he got a little bumped a little bit in the stretch here. You'll see it, just a little bit while he was coming down the stretch. And I just thought it was a good performance. You don't really see it too much there, but he was bumped a couple of times in the stretch. He looks like the logical choice. He was beaten 3/4 a length. That was against $75,000 maidens. The 5 who we both have in second, Super See Me, stepping up, stretching out, surrendered that late lead to finish 4th, was beaten, I think, a 1.5 lengths against $35,000 maidens. I see that as Christina always says, a lateral move, so I don't see any big jump up. And I had the scratch of the 2 in there. I added viable option, who wasn't that bad. It was in the slop last time out, but I thought this horse showed a fondness for the grass in its $50,000 debut, going back to the grass today.
I actually added number 4, and that's As You Like It, and by the appropriately named Shakespeare, and as one of the famous plays by Shakespeare, As You Like It. But I didn't put him in there I didn't put her in there.
Well, you are a Shakespeare aficionado.
I don't know about that, but I took a lot of Shakespeare, and I threw in the pedigree Shakespeare. You know that they're going to like the grass, and again, I'm expecting improvement with this one, dropping for Jonathan Shepard, several things. So I thought I would throw into the mix.
Yeah, I mean, just that 2 things you said, Shakespeare and Jonathan Shepard, should pique your interest.
We look on to the third race on today's card. It is a 35,000 maiden claiming event, 6 furlongs on the main track. We do have a scratch of the number 4, and that is East Rock. And my top selection, I went with number 6, and that's Valiant Knight from the Michael Pino. Was claimed last time from Eddie Keneally, now with Michael Pino. Michael Pino pretty good with his first off the claim. Blinkers on, likely going to be showing speed again in here, Ron, and in a race that maybe that's going to serve him.
Yeah, the barn 24%, as you mentioned, with new claims, so very good. I did go with the horse you had in third. We actually got our selections just flip-flopped in here. I went with the 5 Aces for John, cutting back to 3/4 of a mile. Responded last time out to the addition of blinkers by opening and then relinquishing a 2-length lead when beaten 3/4 of a length. That was going a mile, the old classic turnback mood. The one Awesome Trom, now in the David Fawkes barn. It's the son of Awesome again, getting some class relief today. Got a bullet half-mile work coming into this, 47 and I think it's 47 and 1. So it's a pretty good work.
47 and 1 is a pretty good work. And that's for the third race, and we move on to the fourth race on the card. It is a 16,000 claiming event, and we do have it's a mile on the turf course. Number 10, Percy's Ambition, has been scratched. It's the also eligible. And number 7, Strongbow, blinkers on Strongbow. And my top pick, I went with number 6, and that's Pickett's Corner, Mike Petro. And last time, pretty good effort, ran a good number, jumped up, Ron, from the 2 latest races on the turf were pretty good, but really jumped up. He bumped up his game a notch in his latest race. He was at a big price that day as well, and now getting a little bit, so we're now at 20, now we're in the 16,000 claiming 16,000 claiming company. Was 3 lifetime this time, but I still think fits in this group, and I think it's a very competitive race actually.
Well, I went with the 4 Caminito, dropping a notch, turning back to a mile. First start since Rallington, second to a horse that we're very familiar with up here, and that is Main Man Mike. And Main Man Mike, it seems like every time he ran, either you or I picked him, so we always liked him. So he's in there. But the horse you have in third, I did not use Dominate, and he had some trouble in his last race.
Yeah, let's take a look at Dominate's most recent race. That was on March 8th, and we're seeing him right there on the outside. And Ron, you're going to see he's got the horse to his inside that's leaning all over him as they're coming through the stretch. And actually watch for the jock, the jock on the number 2, his whip. He actually,
I just noticed that,
he loses his whip, and it actually hits him. It hits poor little Dominate in the head as it goes flying by. Not really funny for Dominate.
Right.
However, he still ran a pretty good race. He was 7th, but he was beaten 3 lengths, and as we can see, there were some issues.
Yeah, and, another horse that had some trouble in its last race that we both used in second is Saturday's Light, stretching out to a mile, broking awkwardly, getting parked 7 wide on the turn, getting beat 3 lengths against $20,000 types, going 7.5 furlongs. Javier Castellano, 15-1. What do you got to get hit in the head with a rock? This is a horse you have to use on your ticket today.
And happily I did. We're going to take a short break, folks, and we will come back and have a look at the 5th race on today's card that kicks off the 20-cent Rainbow Six.
Gulfstream Park is one of Florida's top entertainment destinations, mixing restaurants, clubs, a casino, and international boutique shops with world-class racing. In a lavish, sun-drenched setting with the feel of a Mediterranean village, Gulfstream is a leading year-round entertainment and tourist destination and the home of luxury residences in 2014. The Stronach family, owners of Gulfstream Park, is committed to the sport of thoroughbred racing and the grace, spirit, and generosity of the horse.
The Rainbow Six is back and it's better than ever. Now with a 20-cent base wager, it will expand the market for the popular bet. And in addition to doubling the base wager, the percentage return for the winners on the day the jackpot isn't hit increases to 70%, with 30% going to the carryover pool for the next program. Gulfstream Park, you got to be here each and every day.
Welcome back to Gulfstream Park. We're going to have a look at today's 5th race that kicks off the 20-cent Rainbow Six. And there's a carryover today.
$142,000 plus. So it'll be up around 200 grand, if not more. Once the smoke clears, you'll see what it has, what they bet into it today. And people have been nailing this thing. And this year, if you noticed, all the times it's been hit, $10,000 tickets. People have been bringing this down with $200, $300 tickets. Someone brought down with $6 tickets. So always can be hit. It's a lot of fun. 20-cent wager. As I mentioned, over 142,000 in the pool right now.
Well, it kicks off in that 5th race. It is a maiden special weight for state breds, 3-year-old, 6 furlongs on the main track. We have a jockey change, number 5, first among equals, and Javier Castellano will be aboard. And Ron, a couple of different. I love our selections here. A couple of differences here, and I decided to go with a first-time starter in here, number 2, and that's Blogosphere, David Fox. And David Fox, he's okay with his first-time starters, but I'm looking at the work tab. There's some really nice works, including the one back on March 5th here at Gulfstream when he went. This gelding went 1 minute 3/5 on that particular day. Pretty good work. So everything considered, mass media is actually pretty good with his first-time starters as well. And I like the combination of David Fox and Juan Leiva. Everything considered, I thought I'd take a shot.
Well, I went with a first-time starter in here too, and that's a great Harbor K, number 7. It's the Son of Greatness, debuting for Kirk Zadie. Series of really, what I liked about these, not only workouts, they're stamina-enhancing workouts. You see, they're both 4 and 5 furlong workouts. Not both. He has a bunch of 4 and 5 furlong workouts over the Gulfstream Park West main track. Little deeper track there.
Yep.
Legs the horses up well. The barn is 37% with a limited sampling of first-time starters. Ed Garzias handling the debut. We both use number 5. First Among Us, as we mentioned, will be ridden by Javier Castellano. He's going to try these state-bred maiden special weight runners. And if you look at all the past performances of the horse that started, he's the obvious choice of all the previous starters.
Yeah, and they get exactly right, and that's why I used him. But I thought that I wanted to hopefully get a little bit of a better price. I think I'm going to get a good price with Blogosphere and also run with Kirk Zadie's horse, number 5, Great Harbor K. You also might get a good price,
You might get a price with him. And the horse I just want to throw out real quick is the one, Philocides, I think it's pronounced. Had trouble at the gate last time out, but take this stat. Kathleen O'Connell, a strong 33% with maidens making her second start. Throughout the years, Kathleen O'Connell, her second start is always the way you want to go. So just a horse you might want to throw in. Work the 5 furlong bullet across town.
We're going to move on to the 6th race on today's card, and this kicks off the Pick 5 Couple scratches, number 3 and number 6, and it is a 7.5 furlong test on the turf. 25,000 maiden claiming company. It's for 3-year-olds, Ron. And one of the selections in there, one of the scratches, Wildcat Runner number 3, excuse me. That's a pretty significant one.
Yeah, that was my top pick in there, and then I moved into 2, Kid Gavilan. I know you did the same thing.
It's easy for you to say.
Kid Gavilan was a boxer back in the 50s and 60s that Christina used to watch when she was younger. I was too young. This one, Kid Gavilan, should be primed and ready to score after returning from a 3-month layoff. The finisher rallying third. That was against $35,000 maidens at the distance. Chris Gaddis, the trainer, owner, small stats here, but very good. 4 for 12, 25% with second start off a 45 to 180-day layup. We're basically in agreement here. I got the 10 Journey Proud in second. You got it in third. And Noreen is the horse I added after the scratch of the 3. And Noreen, Wesley Ward, hasn't been seen here since last May, but that's no big deal.
Yeah, Wesley Ward does a good job with his horses coming back off a layoff, but the big reason, other than the fact that it's Wesley Ward and the steady works coming back, bring the heat. Bring the heat. His horses, he has very high percentage with his runners on the grass, so I thought that move to the grass should be a positive switch here. We look on to the 7th race, on the day, and this race kicks off the late pick 4. It is a maiden special weight, 5 furlongs on the turf course. We do have a jockey change. Number 7, Taverny Bay, will be ridden by Arnie Fontanez. I went with number 5. Ron, you went with number 5. That's Prima Storm. Blinkers on for this 3-year-old son of Stormy Atlantic. The Stormy Atlantics, I like them on the turf. This one has good form. Never finished off the board in 4 lifetime starts. And Ron, why don't we take a look at the most recent?
Yeah, he had some trouble. Wait till you see the start. He's the number 3 this day, and watch what he does at the start here. He just wants to go back to the barn. It looks like almost there. Really swerves inward, but he straightens himself out. Now he's running up. He's got himself in gear. He's making a move here, and it's not going to happen because he's got to steady sharply. And what I liked about it, he still managed to finish third in this race. She had nowhere to run early on, so double trouble early on in the race. And
he looked a little bit ranked too. Like he looked like he was headstrong, and he was going there whether there was an opening or not.
And the trainer Christophe Clement, Edgar Zayas named. It's the son, as you mentioned, of Stormy Atlantic. We both went with the 6 Moonshine Sipper in second. Going to wear the blinkers today after sending the pace. This one lugged out badly and still managed to defeat $35,000 maidens. Was way out there. He's disqualified for that and placed third. It's Wesley Ward coming back. He's 28% with his turf sprinters. And that's right, in race 9 we got the TBA. We got that. What is the number 3 horse? That's the jockey change in the 9th race.
It's a jockey change.
It's a TBA.
Yeah, we'll get to the jockey change in the 9th race.
I thought something happened in this race. And number 8, Sylvan Park, is the son of Wildcat Air, and we're in a perfect agreement in here. I don't know if that's the 3 you used just on your ticket, but certainly looks like the 5 Prima Storm I really like in this race.
I like also Wildcat Air. You mentioned him, such a versatile stallion. You know how I feel about him first time out. His runners here in Florida, he's just so productive, and the connections, the trainer, he certainly knows how to win first time out. But Wildcat Air is sneaky on the turf. Not everybody really thinks of him as a turf sire, but his runners run very, very well on both surfaces. We look on to the 8th race on today's card, and it is an allowance optional claiming event. It is a claiming tag, $12,500, 6 furlongs on the main track. And Ron, this is a state-bred competition. And a couple of scratches, and again, significant scratches. Number 2, You Lie. Number 5, Yes, Ms. Olga. They're out. Now, I had You Lie.
I loved You Lie today.
I know you did. And so now, with You Lie out, changes the dynamic, changes the scenario a little bit. For me, it didn't. I still had number 3, Remarkable Teresa. I had her on board. This is a 4-year-old daughter of Concord's Tune. She's got speed, but she can also track. So I think that she's got that tactical speed where she could settle just off of it, or she could be up.
Well, you know, we mentioned You Lie, but if you look at this horse's last race, the horse you had on top, Remarkable Teresa, she was really fractious prior to the start. She finished third behind her last time. I'm talking about You Lie. Jane Sibeli, Javier Castellano in the saddle again. I think with the scratch moved this horse, in my estimation, way up. Number 4, Little Daniela, is going back to the main track today after pressing the pace and finishing third against $20,000 claimers, going 5 furlongs on the turf. It's Carlo Vaccareza, 19% with horses going from the dirt back to the turf.
Now, any possibility, Little Daniela? The reason I was thinking maybe she's better at 5 furlongs.
Turf going back to the dirt. Excuse me. Sorry.
turf, going back to the dirt.
Yeah, I said it backwards.
Yeah, and little Daniela, distance. That's the reason I didn't put her on my ticket. I think that she's proven commodity at 5 furlongs, not so much at 6.
Right.
So that's why I didn't use her, but she's one that you could use. And also, I did throw in number 1, Mom's Laugh. I think Marcus Vitali, I think that one's going to be one that you're going to want to have on your ticket somewhere after a nice win last time, March 1st. We move on to the 9th race on today's card, and it is a starter optional claiming event, and it is 25,000 claiming tag, mile on the turf course. Scratch number 10 from the also eligibles, main track only entrant, not ladylike. And also, this is the one, Ron, you were talking about.
TBA on number 3, jockey change will not be ridden by Gabriel Saez today. Love a horse in here. And that's the one, Mademoiselle Bond. Glad to see you had it on the top. My best bet of the afternoon, cutting back to a mile. I thought a really solid North American debut here at a mile in the 16th. She recovered from a slow start in that race. She finished second on a horse that I like, and that is Miss Margaret. It's George Weaver. He's good with second off the bench, 24%. It's Johnny Velasquez in the saddle. Like this horse a lot today. I don't have the 4 horse on my ticket, but I do have the 7, Quiet Kitten.
Quiet Kitten, actually good third-place effort last time. I actually thought I should throw in Princess Zenye in here, and she's dropping, so she's getting a little bit of class relief. Edgar Zayas getting back aboard, and her races were pretty good, except for that one race back on the February 26th that was too tough. I think it was just a tougher competition. Isabella Sings, who actually will be seeing a stakes caliber filly. So I think that this is one you want to throw onto your card.
And we got our kitten horse on there, so we figured
that's it. We're covered for the day.
We're covered for the day. A kitten horse on the turf at Gulfstream Park.
We round out today's action with the 10th race on the card, 62.50 claiming. It's a mile on the main track. We do have a couple of jockey changes. Number 10 will be ridden by Luca Panici, and number 11, Cactus Kid, will be ridden by Diego Gomez. And my top selection, I went with a horse that you don't have on your ticket. That's number 1,
He's
Rush.
the morning line favorite. I might have missed this guy.
Rush Now. I thought that if you look at his race 2 starts back, going a mile. It was over this track, this trip. He was claimed actually that day. He galloped home in a really good time. Came back last time, Ron, but he's dropping back to a reasonable, to the level we know he belongs and that he can win at. So I thought I would give him another shot.
I went with the number 2 who you have on your ticket. That's Tiz Bobby. This one really a popular sort. He's been claimed in 4 of his last 5 races. Now cuts back to a mile for the new trainer, and that is Carolina Vesaliva, making the middle move last time out. Faded to finish 4th behind a really hard-knocking horse called A Fleet Accompli. That was going a mile in the 16th, so I'm keying off the company line in there. And how about the number 11 in here, Cactus Kid? 20-1 on the morning line. This one's going to break from the outside post today after departing from the rail last time out, taking the overland route, rallying 4 wide to come within the nose of springing a 44-1 upset last time out. At this same level and distance, I'm jumping right back on. Maybe there's another performance like that in there. If not, on a win, this is the Super High 5.
Right.
Got to have horses like this on the Super High 5 ticket, and I got the number 8 Global Question. Who you used?
I sure did, and that's it for today's 10-race card. Ron, just for the Rainbow 6 today, that starts in race 5, we do have a carryover.
We do have a carryover of $142,000 plus, and it should be a fun day of racing. As you mentioned at the top of the show, just a couple of days away from the Bessalou Stables Florida Derby with those great stakes races. What a card that's going to be, and that is Saturday. And I want to remind everybody, don't forget the first race goes off at 12 noon on that day. But if you like the racing from Dubai, you can come here and be in silks at 8 o'clock in the morning. The races start, I believe, about 9 o'clock or so.
Yeah, you can bet on them here, and as you were pointing out to earlier on in the show, California Chrome, last year's Kentucky Derby Preakness winner, he's running in Dubai. Lee, who won here, he's a Dawn Handicap winner last year, and Main Sequence, who everybody knows here, especially here in Southern Florida. We've seen him, and he's also a champion.
How about his race last time here? Oh,
fantastic! And one horse that's going to be really happy that he's in Dubai is Twilight Eclipse, who's going to be running on Saturday. He doesn't have to deal with Main Sequence, at least this time around. Folks, we got so much happening this weekend. We've got a lot happening today. We have that carryover in the Rainbow 6, which begins in race 5. Stick around, so much happening.